And welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 5th December today, and in this video we are going to discuss various types of questions which are related to your prelims preparation. You know, every day we try to upload this video on our YouTube channel exactly at 6 p.m. So please do watch the full video. It is going to be very much essential and very much important for you. Before we will start our discussion, I would like to give you the brief introduction about the video so that you will get more connected with it. In this video, if we will see how we had framed the questions, if we will divide them, we can divide them in three categories. The first set of questions which we discuss here are taken from the current affairs. You know what we do? We take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We break them down into the simplest language possible and derive the prelims based questions from those articles so that it will give the idea how the questions can be asked from these current affairs, to what level you have to dive deep to understand the pattern of the UPSC. So we try to help you in this way. We bring up these questions from the current affairs so that it will help you prepare well for your examination. So this is the first set of questions which we discuss here. The another set of questions which we discuss here are taken from static portion. If you had followed me, you would definitely know we had started studying, we had started discussing the static topics also, and every day we frame a static question on a smallest article, on the how much the small the topic may be, how much discrete the topic may be. We frame a question on that topic and give the idea how the questions can be asked from such discrete topics. So this is the second type of question which we discuss here. After discussing the questions with respect to the current affairs and the static portion, we take up the last part of our discussion where we discuss few previous year questions too, so that it will give the brief idea how the questions do exactly come in the exam and what can be the ways and methods by which we can solve these questions. So this is all about this initiative in a nutshell. Now, before we will start solving these questions, I would like to request you guys to do few things which are very much important and essential for you. First of all, if you are preparing for 2025 prelims or 2026 prelims or any exam, I would like to request you guys, please do note down these questions which we discuss here. These are going to be very much important and essential for you. When you would want to revise the current affairs, when your exams would be near, and you would want to revise all the syllabi, all that what is necessary for you to crack this exam, it would be very much difficult for you because the time would be very much limited and the syllabus is very huge. You have to go through various sources, but if at that time you have these questions with you, you would just revise these questions, read these questions, go through these questions. These questions will definitely connect you with the current affairs. They will connect you with the static part. They will connect you with the previous year questions, and these questions will definitely help you in cracking the exam, and it will definitely boost your confidence before entering the exam hall. And one more thing, as I discussed what are my sources, and irony is that it is the same source which is used by the UPSC faculties when they frame your questions. So there are high chances that money statements or maybe a question can coincide with those questions. So for being on the safer side, it is advisable for you to watch the full video, note down these questions, and prepare very well. So this is my request to you guys. It is up to you whether you will follow or not. But if I was at your place, I will definitely take the screenshot of these questions and make my own question bank before I enter the exam hall. Another thing which I would like to request you guys, it is please do subscribe the channel, share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And also do write in the comments what else should we bring for you. We are here to work for you. We are here to serve you guys. So write in the comments what else should we bring for you. You can criticize us if we are mistaken anywhere. You can correct our mistakes. You please criticize us, but be little respectful in that. I don't want to get demotivated at the same time. So I would like to request you guys, please do write in the comments and share it with your friends, and please do subscribe the channel. Now, without any delay, let's have a look at our first question which we had framed today. It is about it says the 1871 census, the first attempt at a comprehensive census of British India, collected data on cost in which of the following provinces. This is typical history based question, but you may ask me here, sir, if it is history based, what is the reason we had brought it in the current affairs? How we can connect it with the current affairs? But the answer to this question is in today's news article. Today's news article, it talked about, is the census, cost census, a useful exercise? There was huge discussion about it. Should there be a cost census? There are two sides to this question. There are two ways to discuss this question. The first of all, those who support it, they say that it is the best way to identify the castes in our country, and we are giving these reservations. So to give those targeted reservations to those castes, it is the only way we can do it if we have these caste census. If we know who are the people who are in real need of these reservations, who are in real need of those benefits which the governments are giving to particular castes. So according to them, this is the best way to conduct the caste census and to to give them what they deserve. But if we look at the history, right now, since the present, till now, we had tried to go for various caste census, and the first attempt of the caste census was in 1871 by the then British government. They tried to bring in the caste census. They tried to understand the Varna system of India. It was very hard for them to govern India because of the class difference in India. So they tried their best to understand the Varna system, and they tried it in 4 provinces at that time. So here the question asks about what are those 4 provinces, but the but the discussion which the article is about, it's not about these 4 provinces. It is much wider, it is much broader. It is about whether this conducting of cost census would definitely would clearly help them, or it will uh, it will enlarge the gap between our society. So keeping it aside, we will solve it at the end of this discussion. We will solve this question. But coming back to our topic, what does the author say? The first cost census was done in 1871, and what were the results? Results were not liked by the government because they were not able to identify the costs very well, because there are various issues with the cost census. For example, and those are the same issues which we can face right now if we will conduct the cost census. For example, there are costs in particular state. They are given the highest Varna system. They are giving the highest, highest status, but same cost in another state will be given the lower status. So there is always this confusion. And also, when you will go for the cost census, there is no clarity that the people will communicate with them truthfully. If anybody will try to ask my what is my cost, I will try to get benefited from that. Either I would say my cost is some upper class cost, if I would get benefited from benefits from them, or I would say I have some lower class cost if I will get benefits from them. So was the case in 1871. There was a huge discrimination on the cost, and the people tried to show the higher status, and they lied about their costs. And similarly, in the upcoming years, in 2011, when the attempted last cost census was done, what the people did? They tried to get the reservation, and they tried to give the false info about their costs, and this created huge mess. So according to the author, conducting the cost census will not help the society, but it will definitely further increase the distance, increase this this division in the society, and it will be highly disastrous for our country, according to the author. Now, I think this is in nutshell about the article which was in the news today. So let's try to solve this question and make it and put end to this topic. So here the question is about the 1871 census, the first attempt at comprehensive census of the British India, collected data on cost in which of the following provinces? Was it Bengal, Madras, Bombay, and Northwest provinces? 100% correct. So to this question, the correct answer is option A. The first census which the British India tried to do with respect to the cost was in these particular states: Bengal, Madras, Bombay, and northwestern provinces. But after conducting the census, they understood one thing: it is not viable, it is not good to go for the caste census. Then in 1931, the another caste census was done, and that was also a failure. So to this question, the correct option is option A. So with this, I hope you had understood the question, you had understood the context behind the question. One thing I would try to add here, this class, this video, it is not all about the quiz. We discuss questions with respect to the news articles, so you can take it as a news analysis also, because we discuss the news analysis also here. We try to give you the all important information which was in the newspaper today. So with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Here the question is about which of the following countries is home to the Liki Deep seaport, one of the largest in West Africa. Now, you may ask me, sir, what is the reason why we are making this random question on Leki Deep Seaport, which is somewhere in the West Africa? What is the reason? As we are preparing for UPSC, how can UPSC ask me such questions? But trust me, dear students, UPSC has this habit. They ask you those questions. They ask you questions. If you will go through your last year's question papers, you would definitely see very random questions. But if you will analyze the news articles in the last year, you will definitely connect with them. So they won't ask you anything randomly. There is some connection. So we had brought this Licky Deep Seaport question here. So what is the connection here? The connection will definitely connect you with the PM's visit to West Africa when he visited Nigeria. So here is the connection. Recently the PM Modi, he visited Nigeria, and to receive him, the PM of president of Nigeria, he went by himself and he received him himself, and it showed how important India is for Nigeria. If we look at the West Africa, it is highly, they have huge amount of resources there, which the countries are trying to extract, which the countries are trying to benefit, but unfortunately they don't have such technologies which they can use those resources for themselves. So different countries are playing their part in the West Africa or Africa itself. USA is playing its part, China is playing its part, India is trying to play its part. India has already established their feet there, but unfortunately one issue with India is that we are not able to come up with our promises. We make huge promises, but unfortunately we are not able to to give those things which we promise. So this is one of the issue with our with our foreign policy, which often the countries highlight. So here, coming back to the topic here, PM Modi, he visited West Africa, he visited Nigeria. About Nigeria, it is the only one of the only stable countries in the Africa right now. Every other country is somehow involved in some civil war or in extreme poverty. Nigeria is very much developing, they have huge resources, different companies are working there. And here in Nigeria, our huge competitor is China. So if we will compare what China has achieved there and what India can achieve, China is involved in China has already put their steps. China is already way ahead of India there. They have they import key resources from Nigeria. Nigeria is home to lithium plants. They had established, China has established their lithium plants there. They had invested in cement plants. China is funding in money projects. It is estimated that more than 40 projects China is funding in there. And about this Lekki Deep Seaport, it is also funded by the China there. So I think you got the answer to this question. So this Lekki Deep Seaport, it is in Nigeria and it is funded by the China. So India, now here comes what India can do. India can build a better relationship than the China. China is often described as they tend to have a one-side relationship. They tend to they act as a sponge in the country. They take their wealth, they make those countries bankrupt. They have this debt trap diplomacy. And in with respect, and if we will talk about India, we believe in mutual benefits. If India is getting benefit from the Nigeria, then Nigeria too should get benefit. And our if we will look at our diaspora, there we have 60,000 diaspora in Nigeria, so we can build a better relationship with the Nigeria, and we can compete with the China. So here this article, it basically talks about what we can do, how we can compete with the Nigeria with respect to this. And to me, the important question which can be framed from this article is about the Lekki deep sea port, which you should know. Here the question says, which of the following countries is home to the Lekki deep sea port, one of the largest in West Africa? It is home to Nigeria. So the correct option to this question is option B. So with this, I hope you had understood this question, and you had also understood the reason why we had discussed this question here. Now with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that uh, in the next slide. Here the question is about the Mukhya Mantri Maya Saman Yojana, a scheme providing monthly financial assistance to women, is implemented by which Indian state recently? You know, if you look at this question, it seems more state civil service exam type question. Now you can ask me, sir, why we had brought this question here? What is the reason why we had brought this question here? Because the main reason behind this is because the news article in the newspaper which talked about cash transfer schemes for women and new poll prank. You know what? Right now the different states are going through elections, and you know what political parties are doing? They are trying to gain the votes from the people by making these freebies, by making such popular schemes which will attract the voters. Earlier, if we look how political parties used to work, they would try to attract the men, but they had realized that women play the huge part in the elections. Their participation has increased to the 66% now. So uh, political parties has understood one thing, that it is best time to attract their women, and they are bringing up such schemes in which they give freebies to the women so that they get the loyalty of the woman voters. So if we will, according to the author, it is not very good. If we will discuss it with the democracy, it will definitely impact the democracy. It does not, what does it gets the loyal voters. They try to gain the voters loyalty, and they try to bring forward this leadership cults, cult following of a leaders. They try to promote the leaders, particular leader. They try to promote those particular leaders which would have the cult followers. Irrespective of, they would talk about the democracy, they would talk about overall representation, they will talk about overall establishment of companies, or providing the jobs. They will focus on these small things which they can do, and which are easy for them to gain the voters, to gain the trust of the voters, and to win the elections. And according to author, this will not definitely good with the democracy. So here we had brought this scheme. Recently the elections were in the Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So with respect, this scheme has been brought in here. So the right answer to this question, the Mukhya Mantri Maya Saman Yojana, a scheme providing a monthly financial assistance to women, is implemented by which Indian state recently? It is implemented by Jharkhand. So the correct answer to this question is option A. So with this, I hope you had understood the topic, and as well as you had understood the question here. Now with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Here the question is from the science and technology. The question is about the Proba 3 mission. The question says the Proba 3 mission is a joint venture between the European Space Agency and the Indian Space Research Organization. ISRO aims to study which of the following celestial bodies. Why we had brought this? Because ISRO is set to launch Proba 3 today, so that's why we had brought this. It was actually to be launched yesterday, but because of some anomaly alert, it has been shifted to today. So today they are going to launch this. So what is this Proba 3 mission? What is it about? It will definitely study the corona of the sun. So the correct answer to this question is option C. The Proba 3 mission, a joint venture between the European Space Agency and the Indian Space Research Organization, aims to study which of the following celestial body? It is sun. It will study the corona of the sun. if we will write it here, I don't have pen to write, so it gets hard, but I hope you will understand it. It is corona of the sun. So with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Here the question is about which Russian company is involved in a joint venture with Indian Railways to manufacture Vande Bharat trains in India. It was directly mentioned as such in the newspaper. So which company is that? Is it Gazprom? No. Is it Rosatom? No. Is it Al Alrosa? No. It is Transmesh Holding. 100% correct. The correct option to this question is option C. With this, I hope you had understood this question. You need to remember these bits because UPSC may ask you a direct question like that. Now with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve. Here the question is about a report, namely the Trade Watch Quarterly Report. A comprehensive analysis of India's trade dynamics is published by which organization? You know why it is a news? Because it has been published and it talks about the tariff bans which the Trump administration is mentioning about. They are going to increase the tariffs of its partners, and it talks about how it could be very much helpful for India, how Indian exports to USA would increase because of those tariff bans, tariff rises which the Trump government is going for its partners. So which organization publishes this Trade Watch Quarterly Report? It is Niti Aayog. So you must know about it. UPSC often asks such questions. So with this, I hope you had understood this question too. Now let's move to the last question from the current affairs, and after that we will shift towards the static part. Here the last question from the current affairs is from the Konkang ethnic minority group primarily resides in which East Asian country. So why we had brought this question? Because there is a military coup in one of these countries going on. There is civil war going on, and there is a group, Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, which has started to negotiate with the Janta Army there. So this Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, it represents the Konkang ethnic minority, and it primarily resides in the Myanmar. So the correct option to this question is option D. So what is the context behind it? Context is that there is going a civil war. There is going civil war in Myanmar, and one of the rebel group, namely Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, they are ready to talk with the military junta in Myanmar. And this alliance army, this Myanmar MND Alliance Army, it represents the Konkang ethnic minority group. So this is what you need to know about this topic. So with this, we had completed our questions with respect to the current affairs. Now let's shift our approach towards the static part and try to understand that. Try to get information from the static part. Here today's static question is from the Article 33 of the Indian Constitution. Let's try to understand what it is about, what does it empower, and what does it say. Here the question says Article 33 of the Indian Constitution empowers Parliament to modify or restrict the application of the fundamental rights to specific categories of the principles. So Article 33, it empowers the Parliament to restrict the application of fundamental rights to specific categories of persons. So some freedoms given in the fundamental rights are restricted. For example, under Article 19, you can form an association, you can form a group. That is restricted under this act for some people. So here we have to identify what are those people to whom this article applies. So it says which of the following groups of individuals is primarily affected by this provision. So which of these people are affected? Is it members of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes? If it was so, then our democracy would have not been the democracy what we are explaining to the world. So statement A is incorrect. Statement 3, foreign nationals residing in India, no, not this. Government employees, not this. It is members of the armed forces and paramilitary forces, 100% correct. So why this extraordinary power is given to the parliament? So that there would be discipline in the army, as army is the backbone of the country. If we have the strong army, we have the disciplined army, then we have the strong and disciplined democracy. We have the we have the protected borders, and our country is protected because of the disciplined army. So this is very much important, and this has been brought in under Article 33. So this Article 33 is about this what we discussed here. Now with this, I hope you had understood the static part too. Now let's move to the last part of our discussion, where we will discuss a previous year question, and then we will conclude our discussion. Here the question is about, it says, which one of the following movements has contributed to a split in the Indian National Congress resulting in the emergence of moderates and extremists? It was 1907, and it was Surat Summit, when the split happened. And why this split happened, which movement was, emergence which led to this? It was the Surat split. You should know about it. And with respect to this question, it is Swadeshi movement was going on. So which one of the following movements has contributed to this split? It is Swadeshi movement. So correct answer to this question is option A. So with this, we conclude today's discussion. I hope you had liked it. I hope you would you had understood every question which we discussed here. If you have any confusions, please do write in the comments. We will definitely try to correct that. If we had made any mistake here, please write in the comments. We will try to cope up with those mistakes. And please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends, so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Best of luck.